So I'm going to run over my early card predictions for SummerSlam. So, in what I think will be on the pre-show, I have AJ Styles and Omos versus RK Bro. Yes, I am putting RK Bro, Randy Orton and AJ Styles, I'm putting both of them on the pre-show because somebody has got to do it. It's a 2-hour pre-show for me. I'm putting 3 matches on there. The next match that I'm putting on there is Aleister Black versus Big E. I don't think we're going to get this match at Hell in a Cell. I think at least one of these is going to be in the Hell in a Cell ladder match. Not Hell in a Cell. In the Money in the Bank ladder match. Meaning that we won't get an actual match between the two, as I see it, until we get around to SummerSlam. I suspect Aleister Black versus Big E will take place on the SummerSlam pre-show. Megan is here, says Finn versus Aleister, take my money. I definitely think that's waiting in the wings. I definitely think that's going to happen. It sounds exciting, doesn't it? It sounds amazing. That is going to be a great combination. My final match for the pre-show, these are early card predictions for SummerSlam, will be Apollo Crews defending the Intercontinental Championship against Kevin Owens in a one-on-one match. I do believe there is still something left over in residual bad blood between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I think now that Big E is in a feud with Aleister Black, or at least is leading towards one, we're not going to see Apollo Crews defending every single week, or at least in action every single week. It could be that we see Nakamura involved going forwards, but there is something else going on there that we need to look into going forwards too. So I think Apollo Crews versus Kevin Owens is the most likely situation there. Now coming off the pre-show, I will read that out, Brandon, after I finish my predictions. So anyone else who wants to offer their dream SummerSlam cards or their SummerSlam card predictions, by all means jump in and let us know what you think is going to happen. So, continuing with my SummerSlam card, getting to the main card, I believe the main card will open with Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus Jimmy and Jey Uso versus Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. So the Mysterios versus the Usos versus the Street Profits in a triple threat tag team match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. I think Usos versus Street Profits is going to be a long-term feud. I think it's pretty much here to stay, and I think it could be the next Usos New Day. That's where I am with this. After that, I believe we're likely to see Sheamus versus Keith Lee. They've been waiting for this one for a while. Keith Lee surely by SummerSlam has to be cleared because it is one of those. It's been so close, and at the moment all I'm hearing is that they're just waiting for the right time. They're just waiting for the right time for Keith Lee to return, and I think the match against Sheamus can wait until SummerSlam at this point. Apologies guys, my nose is still a little bit clogged up by smoke. Good old times, good old times. I believe we are at SummerSlam going to see Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal. Non-title, one of very few non-title matches in my list here. I do believe we will see Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal in a 10-12 minute match in which Jinder Mahal gets a little bit beat up, ever so slightly destroyed. A good old-fashioned minor mauling. You know the one. You know the one. That is what I expect we are going to see there. Then, going over to the women's sections, I don't believe there will be a women's tag team match on the SummerSlam card. There's too many matches already, unless you're going to go tonight. I don't personally see it. So I think we are going to see on the Raw side, and this won't be an obvious one, Rhea Ripley against Bayley. There's a lot of people on them. I do believe we are going to see Rhea Ripley versus Bayley, with Bayley moving across after Hell in a Cell to give Rhea Ripley some new competition that she can still beat. I think Shayna Baszler will come after SummerSlam against Rhea Ripley, but I think we're going to see Rhea Ripley versus Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam. On the SmackDown side, logically, I think we're going to have the rematch. Bianca Belair defending against Sasha Banks, probably losing the championship back to Sasha Banks makes a lot of sense for me doing that particular manner. So I think Bianca Belair will take on Sasha Banks once again at SummerSlam, and I think this is a feud that will go and go and go. I think at this point they will try and make Bianca Belair a greater feud and a greater rival to Sasha Banks than Bayley has been. It's a tall order, but I think that's what they're going for. Our final non-title match would be Edge versus Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan will be back by SummerSlam. I know that Edge will be back by SummerSlam, so I'll say that. But I did report on the 18th, so 11 days ago now, I did report where Edge was, when he was expected to be back, and SummerSlam is the date that I basically said I expected him to be returning for. So I expect we will see Edge versus Daniel Bryan to basically finish off the feud that they started at WrestleMania. I think Edge will be winning this one, and Daniel Bryan will be moving on to different competitors. Now we get to our top two matches, the WWE and WWE Universal Championships. I'm going to start with the WWE Championship, where I believe we are going to see Bobby Lashley versus John Cena. I think if Cena does return, it should be against Bobby Lashley. I think Lashley is struggling for competition even more than Roman Reigns is, even though everyone seems to be struggling for competition. Logically for me, I would like to see Lashley versus Cena, with Lashley putting Cena down and essentially kicking John Cena back out of the WWE again. And finally, in our main event, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. The Universal Championship is currently the top championship in the WWE. I don't want to see them mess around. I just want to see them tell a compelling story between two people that make a whole lot of sense, with a lot of history, and can really make a storyline work. The building blocks are already in play. They are clearly building towards something, and I think this is the ideal something to build towards. Let me know in the comments and in the chat what you want to see at SummerSlam.